Welcome to Pastor Aggressive Podcast. Real life, real faith, real talk.
Dang, dang.
We're just a couple of guys sitting here shooting the scuba, you know.
Did you have that prepared?
No, I pretty much been thinking about it all week.
We got some new lighting.
We did. It's bright. Dude, you can't wear sunglasses on the podcast. Get out of here. What's wrong with you? We are professionals. We're professionals here. We're trying to look good, feel good.
Scuba is a disgusting word, bro.
Well, we talked about this on a podcast once.
I think so.
It's a
filthy rag.
Greek profanity.
Isn't it like filthy rags? But like
no. It's like dung, like poop.
Are you sure?
Like BS. Yeah, I'm positive. Okay. No, filthy rags is a whole nother thing, and we talked about that too. Ugh. No, trust me, I've been looking at some of these older podcasts so I can get some good clips, and there's a lot of bits in there about all that stuff. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Namely, first thing is I went to a basketball game last night with my wife, and you watched the kids.
I did.
How'd that go? Tell us a little bit about your night.
It was really good, man.
That's it? Just really good?
It was wild. I don't know how you live this lifestyle you live, but I got to experience it for a night. The kids are wild. Your daughter, the youngest one, is wild.
Yeah, feral.
Wild.
Feral even. She's an animal.
I can't get her to leave me alone for I was here from 8:30. You guys got home like 12:30 or 1.
Yeah, about 12:30, yeah.
And she did not stop talking to me the whole entire time. But I love her. She's awesome. But Jude was chill. You know, he's on his game. He's doing his own thing. I don't even have to worry about him at all.
Right.
But he goes to bed or something. I don't know. He went into your guys' room and he was in there.
Yeah.
And we were sitting out on the couch watching Lion King 2, I think.
And he sleeps in his boxers. So.
They're not boxers, though. They're like briefs.
They're boxer
briefs.
Which
is important to the story.
Right.
So I see Jude. I'm laying on the couch, this tiny couch, dude, just like...
Yeah, which I don't know why you were on the short couch instead of the full-size one.
Because they were all on the full-size one,
okay.
So I just took the small one. But Jude comes out, fast walking... in underwear and a long T-shirt
with his Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah, and I look at him. I'm like, bro, what is going on? He's like, we need to go to the chicken coop. Hurry. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about, bro? Chill out. And he gets me to go to the chicken coop, and I'm like half awake, bro. And I'm like crawling out there, dragging myself out there. And we get out there, and he's like the man, dude. He's like kicking the gate down, dude. Like breaching with the rifle in his arms. And dude, he's holding it like who's the guy that hunts rabbits? Elmer Fudd. Dude, he's holding it like Elmer Fudd with no shoes on, dude. No pants in the chicken coop, dude. Just like ready to shoot a possum. He's like, okay. TMI. He's like cussing stuff. He's like, we're about to kill this effing possum.
Oh, he better not be talking that way.
I'm like,
this kid.
I'm like, bro. I'm like, your adrenaline's not an excuse to be talking like this. He was popping off, dude, but he was ready to kill a possum.
That's crazy. Well, I'm ready to kill a possum. So, this possum has killed 4 of my chickens in as many days, basically.
Dang.
Yeah. So I got to take this thing out. But so when I got home,
Warner goes outside with a wooden ancient Indian tomahawk.
Yeah.
Like sacrificially
with like a
kill
stone head.
Yeah.
And it was funny the dichotomy of what was in my hands though, because I had this. In one hand, I had a tomahawk made out of like this is like a legit made by Native Americans tomahawk with like a stone head, wood handle, and some like tassels on it.
Yeah. In
the other hand, I have the most modern, like rechargeable LED light. It had to be a bizarre situation. You asked me like, bro, what's in your hand? And I was like, it's an LED light, man. You're like, no, dude.
The tomahawk.
And I was like, oh yeah, the tomahawk. Yeah,
like, what?
Yeah. Well, it's all what I had. I'm not a gun guy. We have the BB guns, but I don't have any BBs really handy.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with having a little 22, bro.
No, I know. I need to get one. I just don't have one. And so my possum solution right now is tomahawk. The good news is I found out. I was kind of worried about hand-to-hand combat with a possum because the whole rabies thing. But turns out possums can't carry rabies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm fine. If
you
I
need something longer than a tomahawk, bro. You need like a bat,
like
katana, bro. I have a katana.
A katana probably
I have a
would
real
be,
katana. I will literally give it to you, bro.
A katana would probably be a better solution for possum hunting than ancient tomahawk. But also, Harper was really upset about the chickens after the fact, and so I went to calm her down.
She was raging.
Yeah, so I went to calm her down. And I said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna kill this guy. We're gonna get this possum." And she was like, "But then what if more possums come back? Because this is the second time we've had a possum. The other one, my neighbor killed with a bow and arrow one time. So this is the second time we've had a possum issue." And I said, "Sweetie, if I smash this possum with a tomahawk, and more possums come back, they're gonna go back to their possum den and tell stories of the fat bald man who's smashing them with an ancient tomahawk, and they're not going to come back."
Did she laugh?
She did. Yeah. I'm trying to, I imagine. Do you remember the scene from what was the movie with Mel Gibson, The Patriot? Do you remember the scene from The Patriot when he hatchets up all those red coats who killed his son? Oh, you don't remember that? That's the visual I get of myself in my head when I meet this possum that's been killing my chickens. It's just like I'm swinging this tomahawk, blood splatter everywhere all over my face, and I'm like, ah! But probably it's not going to look that dramatic or cool.
You need to take a clip from that movie and just put AI shop your face on it. It's just possums instead of redcoats or whatever.
Yeah.
That was Harper was like ready to go, take down.
She's like, "I want to rip it in half."
She's like, "I'm gonna assassinate that possum." I'm like, assassinate?
Yeah. What kind of political office is that possum holding?
You think this possum is Donald Trump?
You're on a list now. You're gonna you're getting ready to get deported to El Salvador.
I want to talk about our weeks, but what do you think about RFK Jr. kind of backsliding a little bit?
I don't think he actually.
I think he's backsliding.
Welcome to our political podcast. I don't think he's actually like backtracking on the whole vaccine thing. I think that's always kind of what he was saying. He just doesn't like vaccines, but he's like, yeah, measles vaccine should definitely be something you get. Like I think everyone knows that. People who don't, I don't know, but I don't think he's backsliding. I think he's just saying what he was always saying, but he's like, let me be clear. Or more like, let me be clear.
That was good.
Yeah, I know. I got a good RFK.
Okay, yeah, that was good.
But anyway, thanks for joining us, RFK. We'll see you next week. For those of you not watching the video, he definitely was just here.
Yeah. No, we're like that.
Yeah. So anyway,
I don't know much about what he actually did, but I know Candace Owens has turned on him.
Oh yeah,
100% turned.
Oh,
on
weird.
Him. Yeah, she is not a fan of RFK Jr.
I don't. My TikTok is full of like random political stuff like that sometimes, but I get clips from both sides because I mean, I don't want to go into too much details about politics, but I always say I'm like the middle ground guy mostly. I just don't really care about politics a whole lot. But my TikTok does. And so I get both sides. So I get like Candace Owens clips and Gavin Newsom clips and just all of it.
He started a podcast, didn't he?
Gavin Newsom? That's why I'm getting the clips is because really my TikTok's just a bunch of podcast clips.
He's a goober though, man. Yeah. People have been embarrassing him on his own podcast.
I don't know. We're embarrassing ourselves on our own podcast pretty much regularly. But all this to say is my TikTok's loaded with that stuff, so I don't ever know what, it's just back and forth, and I don't ever know what's going on. So I see a couple of Candace Owens ones. Yeah. But anyway, so I really don't know what's going on with all that stuff. But my TikTok is full of that stuff, political extreme, both left and right for some reason. And then it's also AI videos of SpongeBob singing country songs that are very strange and I don't know why, and then Baja Blast themed everything, just so many people talking about Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I don't know, dude. My algorithm My algorithm's doomed,
Are you
man.
that obsessed with Baja Blast?
Well, I do love it, but my algorithm's wrecked, man. There's no fixing this thing. But then this actually leads really well into the next thing. The other thing that my algorithm is just chock full of right now.
What?
Is dispensationalism, left behind rapture theology, and it's on fire right now, dude. So I'm writing this book, and I got the art back this week,
which is sick.
Really excited about it. That's kind of the whole idea is behind the book is just to, like, make people more comfortable with the book of Revelation and not be so scared of it, and also not use it to, like, perpetuate these, like, grandiose ideas of the end times and, like, predicting dates and, well, this has to happen, and the when it talks about the locusts with the heads of men, it's real, and tails of scorpions, it's talking about Apache helicopters and all that goofy nonsense. So my book is to clarify what we can know and what we can't know and all this stuff. Anyway, shameless plug for my book.
What's it
which
called?
is called
Through a
Glass Darkly. Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah.
Dude,
Thank you.
that.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be out in October, but I really wish it was out now because the world needs it now more than ever. The TikTok is out of control. People are like, dude, this one guy I saw. Well, everyone's real hung up on Nissan, which is like I don't know what it is.
Car company?
Not the car company, but it's like a time of year, and it has something to do with the Feast of Trumpets and Passover. I don't know all of it, in which I should know more. I need to do some research, but people are hung up on this word, and it means their flight or something in Hebrew, which, yes, because they left Egypt, that's the whole Passover story. So this is not new, but like people are like, well, it's Nissan now, or it's going to be, and Palm Sunday and Nissan line up together perfectly this time, or something. I don't know.
It wouldn't be that out of pocket if the writers of the Bible used, like, to fly as, like, a way to say, like, coming from this place to this place, with how often, like, God uses the symbolism of, like, a bird.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It says they will fly on wings like eagles in Isaiah. Like this. Yeah. But there's people going nuts on TikTok with all this stuff. And I saw one that was clearly a parody, and they're like, it was like Jesus is coming, and it was just a picture of a Nissan or a Nissan plate, like someone had gotten it from a Nissan dealership, and it was a Ford Escape, and so they had highlighted Nissan and circled Escape, and I was like, dude, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
It takes a special person to see that and be like, "Oh,
this is hilarious!" Yeah. That's a real niche, and then it ends up on my algorithm. So it's like, yeah, okay, all right, we figured it out.
Yeah.
But then this other guy, this is the one that really got me this week. This dude who sounds like the guy that did you ever watch Family Guy?
Yeah.
The pervy old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lester.
Yeah, well, something like that. I don't know, but he's always talking like this. That's this guy on TikTok, and he doesn't show himself on the camera. It's always just like campfires, and he's like, Palm Sunday is going to be the start of the tribulation, and he's like, and I'm like, he's trying to back it up with scripture that he's way twisted out of proportion, and it's a whole hot mess. And then I go through the comments, and everyone's like, no man may know the day or the hour, all this stuff that would be a really good argument. And he's like telling them they're twisting scripture. And I'm like, oh boy.
How do you twist Jesus saying no man will know the hour?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. But anyway, so he's going on and on. And so the passage I'm preaching on Sunday is from Daniel 9, which talks about the 70 weeks. And I won't go into a whole detail on all of this, but basically the 70 weeks, people take all of that to be like a calculative thing of all the Revelation stuff, and it all goes together. But really, the Daniel 70 weeks all actually calculates the coming of the Messiah the first time, and like culminates with, the math adds up, it culminates with when Jesus entered Jerusalem on the original Palm Sunday, the OG, if you will. And so this, like, what that prophecy is about.
Uh-huh.
But then he starts talking about it as if it's like Revelation and tribulation and end times and all this stuff. And he's misquoting it left and right. And then he talks about how he said, well, it talks about how there's a prince with a big P and prince with a little p, and those are clearly different people. And I'm like, bro, you got a little p. Sit down, old man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with this dude. He's driving me nuts, and he's so mean to people on there, and he's like mean to people in the comments and telling them they're going to hell because they don't believe his specific end time theology.
The prince with the big P is the guy who tells you not to worry about.
But he's like, but I'm just like, so I need to stay off these things. I can't comment on them. I can't.
Especially some guy that sounds like Herbert.
Herbert, yeah, Herbert the pervert. That's the name.
Herbert.
But like these,
Lester the molester.
I don't know where you got that. But these people are like, they're serious, and I love how passionate they are. But I despise how hateful they are and rejecting anything anyone else has to say. Like, what kind of pride and ego trip do you have to be on that you think your thing is, like, you've started reading the book, and I think at the beginning of my book I explained pretty clearly, like, I'm not writing this book because I think I know all the answers, right? Like, no, anyone who thinks they know all of the answers can't, like, they're messed up. Their theology's all askew.
Well, I feel like a lot of times, like, you could be real zealous. Like, I've at times been real zealous in the faith. I'm still zealous in the faith, just in a different way. But zealous in the way that I'm just on fire. You know, we always talk about on fire then off fire.
Yeah.
Whatever. Which I don't know. That's a whole conversation we could have if that's even true. But that can turn into pride quick. I think zeal can quickly.
Get closer to that mic, bud. I think we're losing you.
Oh,
yeah, there
no.
you go. No, you're good. Well, that was too close.
I think zeal can turn into pride.
Oh,
I think that's a
absolutely,
scary thing.
absolutely.
But zeal is good.
It is. I went down to Southern Seminary this week and listened to R. Albert Mohler Jr. preach. Do you know who he is?
I don't.
He's an author and pastor. He's the president of Southern Seminary in Kentucky.
Okay.
And it was, dude, listening to him preach was so humbling because, one, the message was fire. It was so good. And I'm like, man, the way this guy handles scripture makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, it just was so good. But two, his own humility in it, like, was like, he wasn't up there acting like a rock star. He wasn't up there like being like, well, I'm right and everybody else is wrong. He preached this extremely difficult message to preach from Proverbs 7 about sexual purity. And he's preaching this at a college, a co-ed college with like 19 and 20-year-old boys and girls all in this chapel.
That's pretty smart.
And it was so bold and so straightforward. He didn't like pull any punches, but he also wasn't like disrespectful or hateful or hurtful in the way he delivered it. And it was powerful, man. And I see stuff like that and I'm like, that's how we should be handling scripture, not only responsibly and boldly, but in a way that's so humble that it can't be about us. And all of these people who are doing these TikTok videos and everything for like their own like end times theology and all this stuff, they've got to be doing that for themselves. I just don't see I don't see how it's helpful.
Yeah, I don't even see why this is the topic people get caught up in. You know what I mean? I feel like some people they get so caught up in the fringe, you know, the stuff that's kind of on the outside, but it's still part of the whole, you know, like end times prophecy is still part of the faith, right? But like end times are going to happen, whether you expect them to or not,
right? Or
and you're going to be a part of that, or you're not.
Yeah,
directly be a part of that. You know what I mean?
So my pastor friend Levi and I were talking about this on the way down, and I don't think that my end time theology and his are exactly the same. But we were talking about how like that's okay to have differing theology, and we were both talking about how like regardless of what you believe is like he talked about a friend of his that said he's like, you know, a lot of people talk about pre-trib, post-trib, all that stuff, and he's like, I'm pan-trib. I know that regardless of what happens, Jesus is coming out and everything's gonna pan out. I'm like, bro, that's fire. That's me. That's kind of where I'm at.
Trip.
Yeah, but then we heard then we were like when we were down there, heard some students like talking, and I just overheard their conversation a little bit, and I heard this guy coming up the stairs, and he's like, all I know, man, is that Jesus is coming back, and I'm good with that, whatever that looks like. And I was like, dude, that it's good to hear these kids at like.
Yeah.
Primarily Southern Baptist Seminary, like being more open. Just eyes on Jesus.
Yeah,
that's because I think that's the problem with end times theology is it can so easily turn to us taking our eyes off of Jesus and looking at other stuff and looking for signs and timelines and dates and things to happen, and two things happen with that. One, it messes us up because we're not focused on Jesus.
Yeah.
Two, it messes other people up because how many times can you be wrong before someone just stops believing everything you say entirely?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, I'm so scared that we will become like, I think you think of the Jews and like how the Jews were God's chosen people, but when Jesus came back, he was almost like condemning a lot of the Jews. Not all the Jews. I don't think all the Jews.
Just like the religious higher-ups that had made all these rules that separated people from him.
And like they made their own rules based off their interpretations of the scripture.
Right.
So we look when the Bible talks about Pharisees and Sadducees. Dude, I heard for the first time, I figured out that those are two different things. Sadducees believed in they didn't believe in resurrection, right?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
But the Pharisees believed in resurrection. Who does this sound like? They had splits in the church before Jesus even founded the New Covenant church. So that's the scariest thing about it to me is like we create all these freaking doctrines, man. We create our own law books. Like the Jews now, they have their own law book. I can't remember what it's called. The Tanakh.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But they even have their own law book that the rabbis made based off of scripture. That's kind of like what we're doing now.
Yeah, dude, for real. And that happens. It happens all over the place. Not just end times theology. Not just like what do we think about like regenerational baptism, or what do we think about the Eucharist and that's been a whole thing. Have you seen this whole thing with
George Janko?
Well, no, Cliff and Stuart Conneckley, and
arguing with that Orthodox
apparently
kid.
Getting owned by some Orthodox kid or whatever, and now everyone's like trying to cancel them. It's like you shouldn't have held them to such a position that they can be canceled in the first place.
They're not and they're not debaters. That's my biggest thing about
having discussions.
That's
they're evangelists, I think.
Yeah. That's my biggest thing about those two guys is like everyone wants to put them up like they're debaters and then laugh at them when they lose a debate. It's like they're not debaters, bro. They're like
crazy thing. Why are we even having conversations between Christ followers of different denominations and calling it winners and losers? That's messed up, dude. Yeah. Like we should that is taking our focus off of Jesus.
Yeah.
But that happens in all kinds of different areas. But I was even thinking about how it happens in like music. So music has always been a point of contention in my church far before I ever got there, and will probably be far after I'm gone in 100 years. The music is always going to be a contentious topic for just my church in general. It just always has been that way. And I think it's because we all, and Levi and I were talking about this a little bit too, but there are certain sacred cows that we make for ourselves that are like, I don't care what you believe about anything else, but don't touch my whatever.
Yeah.
And we do that in the church. And music is one of those areas. And I was kind of researching some things about like old hymns and how they, at one point, old hymns were contemporary too. Mm-hmm. Christianity's been around for over 2,000 years. So these songs that are 200 years old are only in the newer 10% of the faith, right?
Yeah.
And so people will have so many arguments about things. And I found this quote, and I should have pulled it up. But anyway, I found this quote where this guy was talking about the new songs, and he's talking about how like Satan's getting a hold of the church through this new music. Mm-hmm. And this quote was from 1837. And like, Be Thou My Vision was written around then. And like all these other really great hymns that I would consider really like, these are some of the good ones, you know?
Well, to play devil's advocate a little bit.
The only way you can play devil's advocate, the only thing he actually wants is your soul. So really, when you're just like, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. Would you ever consider selling your soul to the devil? That's the only devil's advocacy you can do.
I got so caught up trying not to say this joke I had in my head that I totally forgot what I was going to say as devil's advocate. But I don't know, man.
So music is always new. But then you have songs like, so I think about this a lot. Chris Tomlin has these two songs, Holy Forever. Are you familiar with that one?
Yes.
And there's another one called Is He Worthy? Mm-hmm. Those songs, the lyrics are pulled directly from the book of Revelation. And directly from the points in Revelation where it talks about all of the hosts for all of eternity singing to the Lord of Lords. And it's amazing. And those songs are incredible. They're contemporary songs, but they are so powerful. And it's like, man, when you sing something like that, or a song about like golden mansions that I'm going to get when I get to heaven for being a good Christian from like, 1602 or something, I'm going to pick the scripturally based, theologically sound contemporary song 100% of the time. Now, I'm not saying that hymns are always like that. Some of the hymns are great and have excellent theology. But you also have to realize that when those songs were written, most of them are like, maybe they're theological lyrics, but they're set to the tune of like old like Irish bar songs, most of them.
What are some of the oldest hymns we have though that you would do in church? Like, what do you say the oldest one that you've seen is?
I don't know the oldest one that I've seen, but like Amazing Grace probably. Amazing Grace is very old.
How old is that?
It's a classic bar song too. Like that's based on a
really?
Yeah. Let's see. How old is Amazing Grace? Amazing Grace.
Because what I'm thinking right now is, what if this guy was right in the 1800s? This guy that was saying the same thing. That's what I was thinking of when I said devil's advocate. When was it? You got it?
Amazing Grace was written in 1772.
Okay. Yeah,
that's pretty early, dude.
Yeah, it is. But when was the Reformation? Wasn't that in like the 1600s or something like that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. What if this guy was right? What if this music that we're doing now, what if this contemporary music, even this contemporary music that the old people enjoy in our church because that's what they like, what if that is still wrong?
Whoa.
What?
You just hit me with down a rabbit hole here.
Amazing.
As a prominent figure in the Reformation, Martin Luther wrote numerous hymns that reflected the core beliefs of the movement, including, Martin Luther wrote this, A Mighty Fortress is Our God. And that's a fire hymn, dude.
Yeah.
I do actually like that one. Whoa. I don't know any of these other ones that are Reformation hymns, though. Except for the Reformation hymn. That's what it's titled.
I mean, most Protestant hymns after the Reformation would be... I mean, there wasn't Protestants until after the Reformation.
That's crazy, dude.
Because in the what is that called? In the eulogy, or what is it called? Like when the Orthodox or the Catholics, when they have
liturgy.
The singing, the liturgy.
Liturgy, yeah. But they're normally their liturgy are like
traditions, aren't they?
Yeah, a lot of them are like ancient traditions, like
there's just singing Brandon
church fathers.
Lake.
Church fathers had written the church fathers had written the liturgies, like prayers that they'd written, or some of the liturgies are just psalms, though. I mean,
yeah,
but so are some hymns. So are some modern songs. There's a song that I really like by Citizens. Do you know? Are you familiar with Citizens? Yeah. Let me see which psalm it is that they. I'll have to look at my songs list. But Citizens does a really good job of doing like hymns, but modernizing them, which is kind of what our worship band does, sort of too. But let me find this. There's a citizen song that is like a really excellent psalm. What's it called?
I think the contemporary thing that people have a problem with, like what makes it contemporary or makes it different sounding, is the way it sounds. Not like the lyrics or anything like that. It's just like it's more upbeat. It's more like fun, and I think people are against fun.
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, the problem is with a lot of modern worship songs, they might be good songs and about good things, but a lot of them are like me focused instead of Christ focused, which I think that's the that's the difference between something like that, like something like I'm like a song like See a Victory. And the lyrics are, I'm going to see a victory. And it's about, like, for the battle's already won. Like, Christ did it, but it's about, like, what am I going to get from this, right? Great song, but it is pretty self-centered rather than Christ-centered. But then, like, the hymn that Martin Luther wrote, A Mighty Fortress is Our God, that's very Christ-centered. Yeah. But then you also have, like I said, Chris Tomlin, Holy Forever, very Christ-centered.
Right.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of different ways we could look at this, but I think that for the most part, it's all about the intention of the heart, right? I don't care what style of music it is, bro. And everyone knows this. I talk about it all the time. I've been listening to a ton of Christian metal. Reformed is one of the metal bands I listen to. Bloodlines, where Fire May Fail. And all of them have really great Christ-centered songs where they're like growling and screaming. Yeah. And the riffs are heavy and distorted, and the drums are like double kick pedals and stuff. Like, but it's so good. Yeah. So I don't think it has anything so much to do about the style of music, but the intention of the heart.
I agree.
Because again, in the 1600s, they're singing bar songs with lyrics from the Bible, but their intent is worship.
I think an interesting side of this conversation, though, would be like, what were early Christians singing if they were singing the way we are in church now? What were they? You know,
we see only brief. Well,
I know like Exodus, songs, and you see,
but Paul says something about. He says something about singing psalms and hymns and praises. Oh yeah. And so it's like, what are those three categories to them? What would they be like? But then also like in Exodus, we see praise songs that they sing. We see lyrics. Obviously, we don't have the music from then. I would assume there's a lot of tambourines because it mentions tambourines. Mm-hmm. But David talks about harps and lyres, and which are stringed instruments. So essentially, now we have guitars, which are similar. Or it talks about drums and cymbals and stuff. So like all of that stuff existed. But I would argue that most likely coming out of Egypt in the Exodus, they would most have been.
They had tambourines.
Tambourines, yeah. So I imagine it'd be like percussion instruments and like shofars, like bull horns that they'd hollowed out. You know.
Oh yeah.
So that kind of stuff is probably the most what like the Exodus would have been, the people in the Exodus would have been praising with. But then the early church, we don't know. I assume probably singing psalms mostly, or But at some point they had to start being like, "Hey, these are the things Jesus has said, or whatever," and we can put music to this.
Do you think you have to sing in church? Do you think that has to be a part of your gathering on a Sunday?
I think it's good. I don't know that you have to, but I think it is good. The Bible talks about making a joyful noise to the Lord. And David often showed worship to the Lord through music. And then,
but if you see somebody in the Bible praising the Lord through music, it doesn't mean like that's a prescription for, all believers from all time to only worship or to worship through music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I remember when I first got saved, I'd go to your dad's church. I'd be so uncomfortable during the music part. And I used to tell them all the time, I'd be like, yeah, bro, really, I'm just waiting for the music to end so I can hear your sermon.
So there are
and the music wasn't great, to be honest.
There are people that even when I was a kid growing up that would come to church after the music. And I mean, we still see that today. Not a whole lot, but it still happens.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think that's fine. But part of the whole the gathering of the church is the whole worship experience. I talk about this all the time though with people at church. It's like the reason we have offering during our worship set, because some people are like, why don't you do that separate? Because I feel like the offering is part of our worship. And so like I think that's another way we participate in worship. And it's the reason I want the service to flow so consistently. Like we took all the announcements and moved them to the front because they used to be kind of like right in the middle. Yeah. And I feel like that disrupts the flow of worship. Yeah. Because reading the word is worship. Listening to teaching from the word is worship. Yeah. Applying that word is worship. Taking communion together is worship. All of that is part of the process of worship. So to break it up, it just seemed kind of clunky to me, and I feel like it takes you out of the heart of worship. To be
I love your guys' flow.
Here's what we're doing next week or whatever. Yeah. Here's the pitching schedule.
Potluck.
right.
Crab boil.
Oh, dude.
For homeless seagulls in Martinsville.
You know how you always riff on me about, I'm trying to see how long we got plenty of time left. You know how you always riff on me about paganism and the things I'm doing in the church are pagan.
Yeah, all those pagan Easter eggs.
Yeah, dude. There, so I don't think everything's pagan as much as you think everything's pagan. I don't go that far. And I also don't throw my like pastor title around a whole lot to like get done what I want to get done. I just feel like that's kind of a
you're like in the Disney
seedy thing to do.
You're in the Disney line. You're like, yeah, I'm Pastor Warner.
Yeah. No. So I don't throw my weight around with hardly anything in the church that's not like doctrine stuff. Like I'm never like if there's some questionable theology or doctrine, obviously that's my position to be like, hold up.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't do that with like decorations or like events to a degree. Like we're doing an Easter egg hunt. I don't like calling it Easter egg hunt. I called it a candy hunt on the flyer. I really like my dad used to do Hunt for the Empty Tomb. Levi was telling me they still do Hunt for the Empty Tomb at the church. And he was like, man, he's like, there's so many things that happened at this church that I'm so thankful for your dad that he handled that. And I'm coming in and like reaping the benefit of it already being handled. He's like, I would have been so mad if I had to like come in and cancel Easter egg hunt. I'm like, dude, I got an Easter egg hunt. I'm trying to transform it into something else, but it is a great community outreach. Like it's people look forward to it.
Yeah.
But let me tell you where I was like, I'm drawing the line here. There was these wreaths, and I've seen them before. In fact, my dad, when he was still around, he commented on them. At my ordination, my dad saw these wreaths that had Easter eggs on them, and he's like, "Oh, son, when you get to going in here, you're gonna have to do something about these pagan wreaths." And he kind of was joking around with me, but he was like, "These are really distasteful."
Yeah.
But people like put them out, whatever. But this week I walked into the church and Tiffany's part of the decorating crew, whatever, and they had put the Easter egg wreaths, and they're not really Easter eggs. It's just eggs on a wreath. They're not like, it's not like there's not bunnies and stuff all over them, but still it's kind of like Eastery, like spring celebration. I'm like,
which spring celebration is a pagan.
Right. At its core.
Yeah.
So they were hanging on the doors inside the sanctuary. And so I moved them and I texted Tiffany and I said, listen, I don't throw my weight around about a whole lot of stuff, but I said the Easter egg wreaths on the doors of the sanctuary, that's a no from me, dog.
I got to ask you a serious question because it burdens my heart.
Yeah.
I do think when you do all that extra like Easter eggs and all this and that, like it's fun, all this and that, but fun to me isn't the ultimate goal. I think it makes a mockery of why we seriously celebrate Easter. Now, I do call a lot of things pagan, and I don't even know if I want to use the word pagan for this Easter dilemma, but I do think it's not right.
I don't
because I think it belittles why we
belittles. There you go. I wouldn't say it makes a mockery of what we celebrate, but I will say this: much like I was talking about the end times theology thing earlier, I think it takes our eyes off of Jesus, which is ultimately that's a sinful thing. We should never be taking our eyes off of Jesus, and I think it does that. I did see something really cool we're going to do with our kids, because we always get our kids little gifts around Easter. And like, yes, we put the gifts in baskets, but anyway, I saw something recently that we're going to do this year that I thought was super awesome. And you can still give your kids gifts and also teach them the real meaning of what we're celebrating when we're celebrating Christ's resurrection. And you have them write like struggles they're having or sinful things that they know they deal with. Kids at a little age don't totally understand sin, but like disobeying your parents or cussing at possums, whatever thing they're struggling with or whatever.
Wearing pants.
Writing them on stones, putting those stones in the basket on Friday. Saturday, we cover the basket. And then on Sunday when they wake up, we will have put the gifts in the basket. Yeah. And so it shows how God's grace is a gift that we receive when we surrender our brokenness.
I love that.
And I'm like, dude, that's so good. I'm like tearing up right now thinking about it. And I'm like, man, that is such a cool way to teach kids. And you can do that and still do the fun stuff. Yeah. And you can, because I was talking to a friend of mine about this last night. And see, I think C.S. Lewis is the one who says something to the extent of this, but like this life, we should enjoy this life and have joy in this life. And it's okay to have fun. Not at the cost of our faith or at the cost of celebrating Jesus, but we should be able to have fun because this life is a kind of a precursor to what eternity is like. It's a like people who just like, I got to be miserable in this life so I can enjoy the next or whatever. It's like, that's not how it is. You should have joy in this life, and you should find joy in this life. And
joy is different than fun.
But you should enjoy what God has given you. You should be able to enjoy the life that God has given you. I'm not saying that you need to be.
But what does that mean? Like that is I understand what you're saying. Like there's a line between being like a grouch and then just waiting to go to heaven, and a line between, living for the world.
Yeah. I agree.
I think if you're living for fun, you're living for the world. I don't think this life's all about fun. I think life's about finding joy in all things.
Yes.
But not having fun in all stages of life. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
So I think like with Easter, we can have fun on Easter celebrating the resurrection of Christ. Yeah. But we can't have fun on Easter celebrating a bunny and Easter eggs. Yeah. Unless you're not a Christian. Yeah. Unless you don't believe in this whole Jesus resurrecting from the dead thing. But in my mind, then why believing that Jesus died, was punished for our sins, resurrected, and then not celebrate that? Instead, I choose to celebrate an Easter bunny and Easter eggs because it's more fun for my kiddos. I think that's not right, personally.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know what I mean?
You know that the whole egg thing is not the pagan part. The bunny stuff is pagan, and the egg thing though, actually the colored eggs is early church tradition.
I've heard that, but it's not the same way we do it.
No, so they saw people gifting each other eggs for pagan stuff, and they were like, yeah, eggs are a nice thing to have. It's a commodity. Right now, gifting each other eggs is maybe the most Christian thing you could do right now is gift the poor eggs because nobody can afford that stuff. But they actually colored the eggs with like red to symbolize the blood of Christ.
Yeah.
And I don't know what all the colors are.
Sure.
But essentially, that was like Christians started that.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's become something else. It's turned into now, like, dude, I saw these Easter gift bags that had a cross on them with like the purple sash hanging on the cross, all this stuff. But then also had Easter eggs on the bag, but then also farther than just eggs. Because again, I'm like, eggs inherently, I don't have inherently I don't have a problem with the eggs. But sticking out of the eggs was 2 bunny ears, dude, and I'm like, that is pagan. That clearly, there's nothing.
But no, but you can't even say. I could see maybe you can get away with the eggs, but like the way you don't get away with it is by celebrating in a way that you take plastic eggs, you fill them with money or candy or valuables. They're all valuables, things we desire. You know what I mean?
True.
And then you spread them out and send a bunch of kids out to see who can find the most valuables.
So,
you see what I'm...
So I'll bring you back around to another thing that is like tradition versus modern church stuff. And we're going to have an episode soon. I promise we're going to make this happen. Where we're going to have a guest on, and we're going to talk about the contemporary comforts of the church and like seeker-friendly things of the church, and where's the line where that becomes blurred and becomes bad, and what parts of it are good. One of those things that I think are good, here's a tease for whenever we get around to that episode, I think having coffee available for people on Sunday mornings is a good thing. I think there's nothing wrong with that. That being said, that can become an idol too. But the difference in that is, for me, I pray over the coffee in the morning when we get it set up. The candy we're going to hand out when the kids go and find all the candy, I pray over all that candy. When we hand out the water bottles at the fair, I pray over all of those cases of water. So, yes, those are worldly things, and we shouldn't be focused on the prize of it all or the gift of it all. But those things can symbolize any kind of gift, if done with the right intent of the heart, can symbolize the perfect gift of grace that we all receive, because we don't deserve that either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I appreciate the way you look. I appreciate the way you look at that. I could see that. On the surface, quite frankly, like, disgusts me. But when you explain it, the way it sounds to me like you're taking something that the church is already doing and trying to find God and serve God in it by praying. Like Halloween, you pray over the candy.
Yeah, we do that for the trunk or treat too. So, which Levi and I talked about this too. He's not a big fan of trunk or treat, but he was like, as long as I see the benefit to the community in it, and he's like,
it's an outreach. As
long as we are not, he's like, we can't tell people how to dress when they come. Like, kids are going to come dressed up as zombies and spooky things and serial killers and stuff. It's going to happen. But as long as we, the ones at the church, are not doing that, and all of our decorations are like focused on positive things, then it's like we that's the part we can control.
I'm cooking up a mean joke in my head.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. You're just like dressed up as like Saint Nick, like punching kids in the face, dude. With your Halloween thing.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, why not?
Why not dress up as Saint Nick? How do you dress up as Saint Nick?
Last year for the trunk or treat, I just printed out Martin Luther's 99 Theses and stapled it to my shirt, and I said I was the door of the Catholic Church that he nailed those theses to.
Dude, is that a messed up prank?
I was like, everyone was like, what is your costume? I was like, I'm the Reformation, guys. People were like, you're such a dork.
You think it would be messed up if we printed off the 99 theses and like stapled it on a church door?
That would be messed up.
That would be
messed up.
Is that a messed up prank? Like, what if you have like a priest friend? He's like the priest of this church, and you're like pulling a prank on him.
Hey, maybe in October. Is it October when the?
It's Halloween. Halloween
Yeah,
is
yeah,
when the
yeah,
Reformation.
yeah. So maybe in October I'll decorate the church by just like stapling the 99 Theses all
Everywhere.
over every door in the church.
Wallpaper the whole entire church.
Now that's a good decoration. That I can get behind
For Easter.
Yeah. I sent you that picture of that pin
Yeah.
set that had one of them was Martin Luther and the other one was the Theses, and it said "nailed it" on it.
And I read the nailed it first, and I thought it was a bad joke about Jesus, dude.
Oh,
I'm
no.
Like, I'm like, that's horrible.
No, it was a
And then I read
Reformation
the whole
joke.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
You love a good Reformation joke.
I think we should have like a chalkboard behind us. You know how like companies would be like this many days since the last injury?
Yeah.
We should have like this many days since talking about the Reformation.
It's going to say 0 all the time. We could just print it out because it's never going to change. Yeah.
That's funny. Dude, we never talked about our weeks, but we're towards the end. But I wanted to give a shout out to what's going on in my life.
Yeah, let's go for it. Talk about it.
Bro, first of all, my work environment is horrible right now. I think God, it just feels weird. It feels like something that's completely out of my control, something I don't understand, which is normally a move of God.
Yeah.
So I think God is moving me out of my job, which
Okay.
sucks, man.
Yeah.
Because my job is like salary, it's easy, whatever. But my car died a few weeks ago. I think I told you about that.
Yeah.
I got it home and it's been sitting because an alternator on a BMW is not like super easy, so I needed help.
Yeah.
So it's sitting with like parts just ripped out of it. I had to take like 8 parts out to get to the alternator, and my truck dies. My fuel pump goes bad.
Oh, no. I didn't know this part.
So I'm stranded without any vehicles this whole week. So for 3 days now, I've been working effortlessly. No, rigorously.
Yeah.
Like
Much effort, in fact.
Yeah, day and night, like 6 hours a day after I get off work, working on my car, and I finally got it done yesterday.
Your car or the truck?
The car. The truck is at a friend's house. He picked it up from the gas station and got stranded at. Because this is what happened. I admittedly let my fuel go too low. It was very low, which is bad for the fuel
happens.
pump.
Yep.
But my fuel pump was already bad. So I pull up at the gas station. I get gas. I go in. I get some Funyuns. I get an energy drink.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Your healthy diet is...
Yeah, I'm ready to get health juiced up.
Yeah.
And my truck won't start. It turns, but it won't start. And my friend picked it up, brought it to his house, and I'm waiting on the part and waiting to get back in it and fix it. And it's just, you got to take the whole bed off and all types of stuff to get to the fuel pump. So it's just a mess, man. But that was wild that both my vehicles died, because that's my like excuse for having 2 vehicles. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if one goes bad, I got the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
God's doing something in my life, man, and I don't know what it is. I'm just like so uncomfortable right now. You know what
That's
I
a
mean?
really good perspective to have, though.
Yeah.
That like when those things get uncomfortable, that's God moving in your life. Because that's true, but a lot of people don't see it that way.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back watching. I'm watching my life unravel in front of me.
So why is this the first I'm hearing about it? Like, you could call me and I could come pick you up or get your stuff.
Bro,
or
I'm telling you,
move
bro,
vehicles from
I've
place
been
to
in a
place.
bad place, bro. Seriously been in a bad place. I haven't been talking to nobody. I've been just working, coming home, doing my routine, you know what I mean?
Dude, isolation is a tool of Satan. He loves
It's not
to
even
get
like
us-
I'm isolated. It's not even like I'm isolated. I'm just feeling different, man. Like, I'm still like out talking to people and doing stuff. I'm trying to like get away from technology. Like, there's good stuff going on in my life, but it's
Yeah.
like a serious like mind. Like, I feel like I'm changing like as a person.
Yeah.
But it's because I've been having this realization that like I've been so caught up in doctrine and all this and that. And for a few months now, I've been just like earnestly seeking just a relationship with Christ, and a relation. We've twisted and mangled what that even means, or it just sounds corny now, but I really just want to know Christ, bro, personally.
Yeah.
I don't care about all this other stuff. So my life has been just radically like changing, and it's so uncomfortable, but it's joyful. And there's hope at the end of it, but it sucks to be in, and I'm tired. It's not even like I'm trying to isolate, I'm just tired all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I know I could reach out and
Yeah, dude, I can
come spend
always
time and stuff.
I can always come find you and pick you up and get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
So how are you getting from work and back? Like,
My friend Jordan, I've just been riding around. Like, I'm telling you, bro, I haven't even been worried about nothing, bro. Like, I'm just like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just letting stuff play out. I'm just doing stuff and then waiting for the next thing to happen. And, yeah, my friend Jordan, he's been driving me around at work. And honestly, it's been great because my work environment lately has been pretty crappy, bro. Like,
yeah. So has it been encouraging to be with Jordan and just
it has been.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
But also at the same time, it's weird because, like, what happened at work, my boss, he doesn't like me anymore, which sucks because we're, like, good friends, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we were good friends, like, joking and laughing and going to church together. I stayed the night at his house, bro. I'm cool with his family.
You're like, that sounds like you're like friends, like you're friends with me.
We are.
Staying the night at the house, joking and laughing.
We are.
You're probably making fun of him, calling him fat.
Yeah. Actually, it was the other way around. But things just went weird, man. And Jordan started working for him with me.
Yeah.
And I think he's just better than me, dude. Like, he just cares about being clean and stuff like that more than me. Like, cleaning up, and Braden really appreciates that, you know what I mean? But now I'm kind of, like, getting pushed out. Okay. It feels like, you know what I mean? So, so this is so funny the way God's, like, working this is, like, all this happens at the end of last week. Then my truck dies, and I'm forced to work with the guy for 2 days, right next to each other for 8 hours a day. And it's not even like I had nothing against him, but I'm sure you can understand it's, like, awkward when your boss is, like, comparing you guys and saying this other guy's better than you, or he wishes you were more like this guy, and now you have to sit in the same truck with them for 8 hours. Yeah. This guy that's better than you, more superior than you. And God's just been doing this thing in my life, bro, where he's just destroying my ego, man.
So I had a similar kind of move of God to get me into ministry, and I'll tell the whole story sometime. Maybe but basically I worked at Lowe's for 14 years. I was in retail management, and it was super comfortable. I hated it because the hours sucked, but I was good at my job, and it was somewhat easy as far as, like, I was just managing people, and customers were rough a lot of times, and the hours sucked, but it paid well, and I was able to do it with ease. Like, right. It's like, I got this figured out. I'm comfortable here. And I would have never really, I don't think I would have ever really left on my own. Mm-hmm. But I got fired on this crazy, almost technicality that was like, with like 14 years, no write-ups or anything. Never so much as a reprimand. Yeah. And then I get fired on this crazy thing that, like, just was a wild move of the company. Yeah. That was just like, I felt like was a weird thing. Anyway, I won't go into the whole details, but and then that made me, like, have to pursue something else. Mm-hmm. And then I got into restoration, which was just a bridge from that to what I'm doing now. But doing the restoration job gave me the freedom in my schedule and the opportunity to do more ministry stuff and to go back to school and to study more and hone my pastoral skills and visit people. And, like, all of that led to where I am today, but none of it would have happened if it was up to me, because I wouldn't have quit. I wouldn't have quit that cush job just because the schedule sucked sometimes, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling now, man. That's crazy. I feel like I don't know why I felt like it'd be different, but I mean, you know enough about my testimony. You've known me through my whole coming to Christ and my whole walk with Christ, but my whole life since meeting Christ has been like, okay, do this for a little bit, you're done with this, do this, like, I'm preparing you for this next thing, and here I'm like, okay, I'm making really good money, I'm getting in a good spot, I'm about to sell my car, I'm about to be financially stable, I'm about to buy a house, like, I got all this good stuff going, my job, people love me, it's easy, all this stuff, I got time to do all this other stuff, perfect hours, I run my own schedule, and then boom, next thing. Yeah. What was I? This whole time I've been like, God, what are you using me for here? Yeah. But I wasn't listening. Yeah. I was asking, but I didn't want to hear the answer. So I've been asking this whole time, and God's finally telling me, like, oh, you're done here, bro.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. God's telling me you're done here, bro. Next thing, we're gonna figure this out together. But that's an ugly, moving. Moving is one of the top 3 most hated things by Americans.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. That's.
I hate moving, man.
Yeah. But you need to move to Morgantown so we can hang out more.
Those
apartments are nice, dude. The ones above that building.
I know. I need to find a job out here.
You got to hook it up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we should probably wrap it up. But I'm having a good time. But that doesn't mean we have to stop talking. We can talk off the air because we're also friends, not just podcast partners.
I don't know about that.
Man. I feel like we got a lot of good conversation in here.
This was a good episode.
A lot of heavy stuff, a lot of good truth. But our truth doesn't matter because it's God's truth that won't back down. And neither should you. Stay focused, stay aggressive, and above all, stay relentless for God's glory.
Amen. Smooth criminal.